Good evening and welcome to the Dollar Dogs and Beer podcast. I am your host, Andrew, and joining me tonight, we've got the man who got me really into podcasting all those years ago, way back with good old Big Jim Sports, of which I still do have that shirt upstairs somewhere. Granted, I usually only wear it when I'm mowing the lawn at this point because it really doesn't fit me as well as it did, 12, 13 years ago. Jim, how the hell you doing, man?
Good, man. Yeah, I think we all have that problem, or at least most of us have that problem that some of those old shirts get a little bit tighter. But yeah, man, it's been I guess it would be about 11 years now since that
Yeah,
started up, which is insane.
I can't remember if Jason was born or if he was just really little back when I had that god awful wireless connection out in Ephrata that would, and no connection anywhere cellular inside the house because it was an old freaking brick house made before anybody had the notion that, oh wait, we do need to let wireless transmission pass through someday.
Yeah, the primitive nature that we've gone through with the podcasting journey, we've definitely come a long way.
Well, it's good to have you on, man. What are you drinking tonight?
Well, I wasn't actually going to drink. I've been trying to cut back on alcohol consumption during the week, but after the events of last evening, I thought I'd just kick back with the garage beer.
Yeah.
The new light beer that the Kelsey brothers, Travis and Jason have a huge hand in, and for no particular reason with connections to Travis Kelsey last night. It's just a coincidence, I guess.
I gotta say though, dude, their podcast is one of the funniest things I have ever heard, and it's not just funny; it's they do a great job of mixing funny, serious, insightful, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, they do a great job. I enjoy the show. But seriously, the new garage beer, they have the regular and the lime. Both are tasty if you're looking for a light beer option.
I gotta try the lime. So for me tonight, we're heading towards playoff baseball. So tonight we've got a Trug's Oktoberfest Lager. One of the great choices for this time of year. So being that today is Patriots Day, and also that James Earl Jones just passed away, I'm going to play a quick clip from the 93 All-Star game when he recited the national anthem during the All-Star game in Camden Yards. Just absolutely beautiful. Let me make sure I grab the right one here. Yep, hey, guessed right on the first time. That's a first. Here we go.
All say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, can that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Rest in peace, James.
Yeah, man. I got chills listening to that.
So good. And what a great way to honor Francis Scott Key too. As it was originally a poem, let's remember, that was later converted to song, and chills. Especially this being 9/11. The picture I shared today on our podcast's page was the first home game the Yankees had after 9/11. It was not until I believe it was the 25th of September that they finally got a chance to get home, and it just chills. The shot somebody got from the upper decks with the flag out in center field, and the first responders out with both the Devil Rays and the Yankees, and I still get chills thinking about that one too.
Yeah, it's I try to reflect on it every year, and it's I mean it's hard to believe that it's almost been a quarter century from it. And but yeah, I think about just everything, and I posted this morning um on my social media, like I can run down the events of that day like it was yesterday. And yeah, it just it hits that national anthem, the poem, it hits differently today for sure. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely. So rolling into it, we're gonna let's just start it off with the chase to the playoffs because that's going to be the biggest news in baseball. Hopefully, the rest of the way. I hope nothing dumb happens anywhere to change that. But as you know, in the wide world of sports, anything and everything is possible between now and then. So looking at the chase right now, we'll start with the National League because it's the better league of the two. Let's be real. Sorry to the Orioles.
No, you're not saying anything inaccurate there.
So division leaders coming into today, you've got the Dodgers leading the West, number 1 overall in the National League. Number 2 is the Phillies. Number 3 is the Brewers. The wild card leaders are the Diamondbacks and Padres are tied at 82 and 64. Coming into games tonight, the Mets held a half-game lead over Atlanta in third. And then chasing down the Cubbies are 4.5 back, and I'm not. The Cardinals are at 7 now, so we can forget about the Cardinals. The only teams eliminated on the National League side at this point, not surprisingly in the slightest, are the Rockies and the Miami Marlins. So that's the National League side. Matt, they've got some matchups, a lot of inter matchups this week. The Diamondbacks will play the Brewers. The Braves have the Dodgers over the weekend into Monday next week. The Cubbies have the Dodgers. And let me see. And the Mets are at Philadelphia for the weekend series as well. That one I think is the one I'm most excited to keep my eye on because Atlanta can't get traction anywhere because they keep getting hurt and the hitting has been so wildly inconsistent compared to previous years. I saw a clip from Chipper Jones the other day, Jim, where he's just been going off. He's like, no, everybody's trying to hit a home run. Nobody knows how to push the ball the other way. Nobody is afraid of a strikeout anymore. And, it shows. And it's not just the Braves, it's league wide. You don't see too many guys hitting over 300 anymore. It used to be, between the two leagues by the end of the year, you'd probably have 20 to 30 guys that hit 300 or better. And now you'd get a fraction of that.
Yeah, it's really wild. I mean, especially for for me and you and the other guys on the show. Like, I mean, you go back to the mid to late 90s and in the early 2000s. Obviously, it was a different era, different time for baseball. But I mean, the hitting was insane, and now it's just it seems to be this all or nothing. And the Orioles at times have been guilty of that as well. And even you go back to 2015 when they were in the playoffs in that matchup with the Royals. And I realized very quickly in game 1 of that series, the Orioles were in big trouble because the Royals were playing like a small ball game. And I'm like, uh-oh, we're in trouble here. So yeah, it's wild to see how the game has changed.
And let's be real, small ball is going to stress the pitcher out a lot more because it's constant runners on base. Can the home run swing momentum? Sure, but I'd rather have a 4 or 5, 6 run inning where there's no home runs hit than a 1 run inning with 1 home run or a 2 run inning with 2 home runs. Personally, I've always felt that. I pulled up the averages here. There are, coming into games tonight, there are 7 players hitting 300 or better, and then there's 2 guys at 299.
Wow, that's
wild.
Insane.
That's absolute. Let's roll it back. Hey, let's go back to 96. That was a good year, except for the damn Yankees winning the World Series.
Yeah, really.
But we won't talk about that.
No, absolutely not.
And back in 1996, there were 47 players that hit 300 or better. That's nuts.
Yeah, dude, it's. Yeah, I mean the hitting has changed, pitching has changed. It's really such a different game anymore.
So looking at the National League side, do you think so? Like I said, tonight it would be Diamondbacks, Padres, Mets. Um, do you think that's going to be the? Do you think that's going to be the wild card teams in the National League, or do you think we're going to see a surprise? I know Mets Braves are going to go back and forth all the way to the end. They have a series late in September that will likely determine the wild card.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I think it's gonna be, unfortunately for Cubs fans. I just don't see making up 4.5 games with 7 to go. That's a lot. Or with a couple of weeks to go, it's really insane. To hope that they do that, you would need to really surge and have teams above you collapse, and I just don't know if you're going to be able to do that at that point. So I think whoever comes out in that Braves Mets series probably going to be the one there. And yeah, I don't see anybody knocking out Arizona or San Diego.
And here's one other thing that's going to work against the Cubs. I'm looking at the team by team grid. The Cubbies have a 500 record with Arizona, 2-4 against Atlanta, so that tiebreaker's gone. They do have the tiebreaker with the Dodgers, but that's not going to matter.
Right.
Let's see here. They are 3-4 against the Mets, so they're not going to get that one. They still do have a series with the Phillies, but again, that's not going to matter because by that point that it's going to be decided. And they're 2-4 against the Padres. And even if let's say St. Louis pulls to St. Louis and gets hot down the stretch, they're 6-7 against St. Louis. So the Cubs, for all intents and purposes, they have no usable tiebreakers. Because remember, it's tiebreakers now. There's no play-in games. Remember the first year we did the podcast and we were all begging for the triple death play-in chaos scenario that came down to the last day of the season and unfortunately resolved with a whimper. Kind of like the couple of the hurricanes that have supposed to wreck Lidditz and then decided not to.
Yeah.
Sorry, craft show folks.
Yeah. Whoops. But yeah. So yeah, it's I'm impressed by the Cubs this season. I didn't think that they'd be really even in the discussion at this point of the year, but I think it's unfortunately for them, I think it's just going to be too little too late.
Yeah, I will say this for the Cubbies. If they want to go into a swoon, now would be the time. So I have a chance to maybe at least look competitive in the bottle of whiskey bet I made with Joe preseason, because right now it is not looking good because we did straight up based on preseason projections, and I am not looking good there.
Yeah. So for your sake, you got to hope they collapse here.
Yeah, but here's the problem. My brother's a Cubs fan. Ben, my youngest son's a Cubs fan, and his birthday's on Friday. So now I really can't.
That's fair. Fair.
He would justifiably murder me in my sleep.
Of course, yeah.
And then looking at the American League side, so division leaders haven't changed. Although Yankees are only a half game up on the Orioles. That's good. That's going to come all the way down to the end, and I am loving it.
Yeah, second to last series of the season is Orioles Yankees. So I've been looking at that. I've been every day. It's like Yeah, it's just going to come down to that second to last series. So
yep,
that's all it's going to be.
Line up the pitchers now. Guardians are leading the Central, 4 games up on the Royals. The Astros are leading the West, 4.5 up on Seattle. I'd love to say Seattle could make a run, but Seattle's offense is the most anemic offense of teams not named the White Sox this year. So
yeah, and they're so streaky too.
Yeah.
Like they got hot there for a while, and now they're just cooled off again.
Well, and their ballpark does them no favors.
Yeah.
This is a team that needs to do. Let's think back to the early 80s when Whitey Herzog got hired by the St. Louis Cardinals. First thing he did was look at his roster, look at his stadium and say, I'm never going to win trying to beat everybody else the long ball. I need to play Whitey ball. We need to slap the ball around. We need speed. We have that hard, bouncy AstroTurf. Yeah, I need a team that can slap the ball around. And, hey, he got a World Series. He should have had 2.
Darn right.
Thank you, Don Dankinger, for that one. But the Mariners, not only do they need to look at potentially rebuilding, because this is the second time they're going to come this and just fall flat in their face at the end. And the last couple of years, they've come close and fallen flat in their face. They don't have the right kind of team built for their ballpark. They need line drive hitters. They need guys that can be streaky, that can hit it in the gaps. Because you're not getting. Let's remember the All-Star game that was held in Seattle, and that was one of the worst home run derbies I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I'm still mad at that All-Star game because that should have been in Atlanta. And the fact that they moved it because they were mad for political reasons, well, I understand. The problem is by moving the All-Star game, you didn't hurt the people that made the stupid law. You hurt the small businesses that were looking for all that money coming in for that revenue for the All-Star break. So, yeah, good job on that one, baseball. And then you move it out to Seattle where you can't hit a home run with a cork bat.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, yeah. So the division races are definitely not settled in the American League by any means. Maybe the Astros, but the East especially, I expect that to fight the whole way through. Looking overall, the Orioles are up 5.5, the Royals are up 2.5, and the Twins are holding the third wild card spot going into games tonight. The Tigers are 2.5 back, the Red Sox are 4 back, and the Mariners are 4 back. Looking at games for the week coming up. Huge one starting tomorrow. Well, so first of all, the Orioles have the Red Sox right now. And then starting tomorrow.
Top of the 8th, the Orioles tied it. So,
all right. And then here's the biggie. The Yankees, not only do they have the Royals to open the week, they have the Red Sox to close the week at home. And I'm going to be at the game tomorrow night with Mom, Dad, and Alex.
Let's go.
Dude, I've never been to either of the Yankee stadiums. I am so freaking excited to go to this game.
That's awesome. Yeah, I never made it to Old Yankee Stadium, which is kind of a bummer. Would certainly like to get up to the new one. But yeah, definitely going to be hoping for a Royals win for sure for me.
Yeah. I'm so excited. This was Mom's birthday present. She's for years wanted the 4 of us to go up to a Yankees game, and this is the year we finally decided, yep, we're getting it done this year. This is going to happen. Nice. So it's, yeah. And the fact that it's a 7 or 7:15 start, so we don't have to get up super early to get there. We're leaving from the Miller Ranch at 1:00. So
very nice.
Plenty of time to get up there, walk around, hit the museum, get some of the delicious food they have. I mean,
are you
I don't know,
driving in or train?
I think we might be driving the whole way up. I'm not,
okay.
Since Dad's in charge of driving, so I didn't ask if we were gonna take the ferry over or what we're doing. But
I mean, look, I know people. I've never driven in New York. I've driven through Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
I drove through in and around Jacksonville, Orlando this year. And I mean, the bottom line anymore, especially if you have a GPS, is it certainly makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because you can kind of see that map. You just make sure you don't hit anyone or any vehicle. That's really the big thing.
As the wise driving instructor once said, just don't hit shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really that easy. Like when I was coming through Jacksonville area, I knew the lane I had to be in. I watched the cars in my immediate front. I didn't worry about anything else in the other 4 lanes around me.
Doesn't matter.
Just look, this is my lane here. I'm going.
Yeah. And it's, there's definitely cities I drive very well, and there's definitely cities my wife drives much better in. She is the driver in New York City. I've driven through 95. I've stayed in the channel. That's the extent of New York City driving I will do. Anytime we go to New York, that's all her. Baltimore, Washington, Chicago, that's all me.
There you go.
Philadelphia especially is definitely me, because I've driven through that damn city so many times. I can practically navigate that with my eyes closed. So
sometimes it's safer that way.
Dude, you're not wrong. Man, I remember when I was there for a college visit at Temple, and we got outside the one building to go to another building, and I heard gunshots. I'm like, oh, right. This is not the best part of Philadelphia down here.
Yeah. I remember I was down. My brother went to LaSalle and went down, and I was hanging out with him at his apartment one time, and we're just standing outside having a cigarette, and he was like, I heard a sound, and I go, is that what I think it is? And he goes, sure is. He goes, Give it 9 minutes, you'll hear the sirens. And literally, we like set a stopwatch, and then we heard them about 9 minutes and 8 seconds later. Like, wow, that's
spot on.
impeccable timing.
Damn, you can't beat that. All right, so with the American League, how are you feeling about these races the rest of the way out over here? I don't think. Again, I don't think the Mariners are going to make. I don't trust their offense to put up enough runs consistently, even though their pitching staff will give up anywhere from 0 to 2 runs a game, and they can't win them, which is wild to me. I'd love to say, hey, I could see the Tigers making a run. I really don't see the Tigers making a serious run. I think they're going to run out of steam. That said, though, I wouldn't be shocked if the Red Sox decided to say, oh, yeah, we're the Red Sox, this is when we usually wake up, or fall flat in our faces, because we've seen both happen in September. What are you thinking in the American League side?
I mean, I'm fairly confident that like the Baltimore and the Yankees are safe, and probably safe in that number 1 spot. It's just gonna come down to, in my mind, who wins that series there at the end of September here, coming up between the Yankees and the Orioles. I think the Royals probably going to be pretty safe. I don't see. Now, hopefully, I'm not jinxing myself with the Orioles and Red Sox currently 8-8. Here in the 8th inning. Yankees and Royals are the same. I don't necessarily see the Red Sox making that push. I guess the Tigers, maybe. I'd have to look at their schedule.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to pull that up here real quick. But like, I think maybe they might have something to say here. Towards the end of it, they have. Looks like Baltimore, Kansas City, Baltimore, Tampa, and the White Sox. So
that's brutal.
That's a brutal stretch. Obviously, the 3-gamer with the Royals is going to be the biggest, both within their division and in the wild card. 2 series against the Orioles. So I mean, the Orioles too. I mean, they kind of have to be looking over their shoulder. I'm confident they can beat the Tigers. So the Tigers probably going to be out. So again, similar to the National League, the teams that are sitting in the playoff spots right now, probably safe. Probably going to come down to a seeding matchup between Kansas City and Minnesota, like Jason here says in the comments. Yeah. And then for the number 1, it's going to be whoever doesn't win the East, I think.
Yeah. For those who'll be listening to the audio later, Jason said Twins and Royals are the only 2 I would say would battle. That's probably going to be accurate, especially with the seeding. And one thing that hurts the Royals too, remember Pasquantino just went down. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. He'll be back for the playoffs, but they're not going to get him for the rest of the regular season. One thing I forgot about with the Mets, they lost outfielder Jeff McNeil, so he's done for the year. So even if they make playoffs, he will not be a part of it. So we'll have to see. We're going to have to see how those injuries are going to play out. I mean, Atlanta's been dealing with injuries all year. It feels like it's a never-ending parade of players coming up from AAA or free agent pickups to help fill holes for the Braves. I don't know if the Mets are quite as well set up to handle McNeil, because McNeil's also a big team leader for them as well. So, just things to watch out for as we go through the end. I mean, that's just more Francisco Lindor's going to have to do with the Mets as he's trying to single-handedly will them back to the playoffs by himself.
I mean, the Royals probably have out of the Twins, Royals, Tigers, the easiest of the 3 series to close out after tonight and after this set. They have Pittsburgh, Detroit, the Giants, Nationals, and then the Braves to close out. Twins have the Reds, Guardians, Red Sox, Marlins, Orioles, and like I said, Detroit has that brutal stretch. Baltimore, KC, Baltimore, Tampa, Chicago. Now, once you get past the 2 Baltimore and the Royals series, those final 2, Tampa and the White Sox, on the easier side, but it might not matter by that point with what you're going to go through to get there.
Right. Yeah, you got to get through the hard games to get to the easy games sometimes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so that's the push to the playoffs. Next up, we've been talking a little about it all season about the issues that all the hits batsmen have had. I mean, Atlanta's lost 4 players in less than a month have gotten hit by high and tight fastballs, but it's not just Atlanta. It's been across the league. Last week, Braves second baseman Whit Merrifield, he was hit in the back of the neck by a 97-mile-an-hour fastball against the Rockies. He was understandably pissed off when he got up and was pulled out of the game to get the CT, evaluated for a concussion. Thankfully, everything negative, but he had some pretty pointed comments after the game. Let me pull them up here for you.
Where the game's at right now, it's just ridiculous. We lost Riley, we almost lost Mike, we almost lost Darno in the span of 2 or 3 weeks. The way pitchers are throwing now, there's no remorse or the regard for throwing up and in. The guys are throwing as hard as they can. They don't care where the ball goes, and they can't. You can't hit a guy anymore back. There's no fear that, if I hit this guy, our guy's going to get hit. That's not in the game anymore. Pitchers don't have to hit anymore, so they don't have to stand in the box. And the teams are bringing pitchers up and don't know where the ball's going. They throw 100 miles an hour, so we're like, all right, we'll see if we can get the guys out. Just set up down the middle and throw it as hard as you can. And it's driving me nuts, and I hate where the game's at right now with that. And I'm on the rules committee, and we got a call tomorrow, and it's going to be a long conversation on what we got to do to make pitchers think about. I just took 95 right off the head. I'm very lucky that it got me in a good spot, and I got to go get a CAT scan. I'm out of the game. He gets to stay in the pitch. I'm probably not going to be able to play tomorrow. No repercussion on his part. And, I mean, without being overdramatic, that was my life on the line right there. So I'm sick of it. It's happening way too much. I watched Taylor Ward get hit in the face last year and have to get reconstructive surgery. Justin Turner got hit in the face last year. It's happening at an exponential rate. Guys are getting hit in the hand. Mookie Betts broke a bone in his hand this year. It's just ridiculous, and it has to be adjusted. It has to be fixed, or God forbid, something terrible is going to happen. If this hits me in a different spot, it's just pathetic. It's frankly pathetic that some of the pitchers that were running out there that don't know where the ball's going at the major league level.
He makes a lot of good points. For one thing, you don't see pitchers that actually pitch anymore. You see throwers. And he alluded to that. You have guys that are coming up because they can break the radar gun, but they have no idea where the ball's going.
Yeah, no, it really is a scary game anymore, especially when you get outside of the starting pitchers. And that is happening much quicker than it ever used to. Tampa tonight in a 2-1 game at that point against the Phillies pulled their pitcher after 75 pitches, I think. And is it's a 1-run game in like the 6th inning with one of the best lineups in baseball, the best team in baseball right now. Mm-hmm. And they pulled him. He wasn't struggling. I think there might have been a guy on first with like 1 out, and they pulled him. And it's like, and even the Phillies announcers are like, what's happening? Like, why are they, because they saw him, they making the call to the pen, and it's like, what is, so now you're going in and you have a long list of guys. They rotate them regularly, a lot of these teams. And yeah, like you said, it's just how fast can you throw? And they're trying to, and in a way that it probably part of the reason we're seeing what we talked about a little bit ago with home run or bust, because when the ball's coming in that hot, if you get a piece of it, good things are probably going to happen. So
kinetic energy.
Yeah, it is. It's scary, man. I mean, we've seen a lot of guys get hit up high. His name's slipping my head, but the backup catcher for the Orioles, catcher for the Orioles this year,
McCann.
Yes, takes one off the face, stays in the game because they're game 1 of a doubleheader, and he doesn't want Rutschman to have to catch 2 games in an afternoon. in like a 90-degree afternoon in Baltimore because it's a doubleheader. So he literally gets a new jersey. They stuff, the cotton up his nose. His eyes are already starting to swell shut, and the dude's out there on first, going right back in the game, and had a great game, which is even the crazier part about it. I mean, that guy probably could have ran for mayor of Baltimore after that day. But yeah, it really is scary. I mean, so many guys, and you don't think about it. There was something he said in the comments there about how pitchers in the National League, obviously he's playing in the National League, don't have to kind of face the music anymore because they don't bat. I've always been an American League fan, so that's always been the reality for me and my teams. But yeah, the league has to do more. We're seeing initiatives across sports to make the game safer. I mean, we're seeing NFL just started. We're seeing some of these guys wear the Guardian caps in the games. We're seeing the NHL players, and now the AHL league wide doing the net guard. So we're seeing different things in different leagues to make the game safer for players, and it's time for Major League Baseball to step up and actually have some repercussions for these pitchers.
Yeah, because I don't care if it wasn't a purpose pitch. If it's let's think about football. Targeting never used to be a thing.
Right.
If you hit a defenseless player leading with the crown of your helmet, that is targeting, and you are done from the game.
Right.
College, of course.
Sure.
But because it's a safety issue at this point, and honestly, I wouldn't be upset if the NFL got to the point where we're not going to review if it's targeting. You're done. Actually, it is an injection now in the NFL, isn't it?
No, I think it's if you have like 3, maybe, because since it's a personal foul, I think you would have to have. Yeah, I think we'd have to have 3 or something. I'd have to check that on the NFL. I'm not sure if there's an ejection with that. Obviously, there is in college, but yeah, I mean the idea of accidental doesn't really matter. I mean, if you want to say, if it. Granted, you can also kind of gauge the tone of the game, the tone of the situation. If it's hot, maybe causing some extra sweat on the hand. If it's rainy, that that there may be an issue with a little bit more issue with control. Maybe you get off with a warning. Maybe you take again, you think of the NHL and the discipline in the NFL, and you look at kind of repeat offenders. If you have a pitcher that has kind of had multiple instances of these wild pitches or up high pitches or whatever, maybe he gets the automatic ejection. If you have a guy who hasn't had one this year, maybe he gets a warning the first time. So yeah, there's definitely something you can do, because here's the deal. If you or I, if we do something illegal with our vehicle, whether it was intentional or not, that it's still a crime, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and intention can only get you so far. There still has to be repercussions.
Yeah. And I will never forget the playoff game between the Steelers and the Bengals, where Vontaze Burfict, who should have been thrown out in the first quarter, cleaned out Antonio Brown going across the middle towards the end of the game. And let's be real. If you look at the downward trajectory of Brown's career, everything really fell apart from him after that hit.
Yeah, I mean, and look at him now. I mean, just an absolute train wreck. I mean, the guy's an absolute clown, but there's a realistic possibility that we're watching real-time CTE. And it's unfortunate. It's also scary and sad.
Yeah. And I don't even mind Merrifield perhaps seeming a little bit theatrical and histrionic, saying, that's my life on the line. When you get hit in the neck, that's a really scary place to get hit, because if you get hit in the wrong spot, paralysis is definitely a possibility. Absolutely. Hell, there have been players who have died playing baseball from hits to the head.
Yeah. I mean, here's you have veins, you have arteries, you have, obviously, in the back of the neck, it is the top of your spinal column. And the harder the pitch is, how it hits, because also, the body is going to you're going to react to something. So if you're turning in this way, you can get more exposed to the top of the neck. If you're going this way, obviously the front of your neck, that's a dangerous spot. The face area. I mean, you're talking about what they call it, the triangle of doom or whatever, in the front of your face. So yeah, there's there's a whole lot that can go wrong when you're talking about these up high hits. It's not like it's hitting a pound of flesh in your thigh or in your ass. It does seem, sometimes people go, oh, it's being really dramatic, but is it?
Yeah.
I mean, is it really? I mean, when you look at everything in this area is really your lifeblood.
Yeah. I mean, how many sports are taking out high hits?
Yeah.
Baseball needs to follow suit. They need to do something about these pitchers that can't control the ball.
Well, wasn't that the kind of the catalyst for the brawl at the Stormers the other week?
Yep. I was at that game. I was at that game.
Yeah, I mean, so it's like, I saw the highlights of it, but so it's not just a major league issue. This is a baseball issue.
Well, and I can tell you in that game, the umps let it get out of hand. The Stormers had just tied it back up or taken the lead, and the next guy gets drilled. It was a clear purpose pitch. It was right in his side. And the umpires they got together, and instead of throwing him right away like they should have, they warned everybody.
Yeah.
And let him finish the inning. He turns around and jaws with either the umpire or with the guy who was on first heading to second at the end of the inning. The umpire who was covering second immediately threw him out. First of all, you should have done that before then.
Right.
And then he starts to walk back towards the dugout instead of, to the bus. And the home plate umpire grabs him and takes him across the field. But as you know, the Barnstormers dugout is right there. There's players coming onto the field. He starts jawing. The bench is quickly clear. You think it's just going to be, a typical bench is clearing where it's just going to be, a little conversation, maybe a little bit of shove. No. Right out there in the middle of the field, two guys started swinging, and that was it. The whole thing could have been prevented by the umpires exercising proper judgment and throwing out a guy that clearly lost his cool because he blew it. And,
100%, man.
Speaking of blowing it, last night, the Rays and the Phillies game, the Rays pitcher, he gives up the lead on a 2 or 3 run home run. Bryce Harper hits a double. Next up, Nick Castellanos is up and gets nailed right in the side. And Harper actually almost got out to the pitch. He got out to the pitcher's mound last night. Let me show you his interview after the game.
He hit him on purpose. I mean, it's not the game that we play, man. It shouldn't be. I mean, guys throw too hard nowadays. You're getting mad because a guy hits a homer off here, you blow the lead. Walk the guy and come out of the game. I mean, what are you going to do? It's just the situation, the whole thing. Just really fired me up, really upset me. Just not something that you should accept as Major League Baseball. He didn't turn around, and I didn't want to be a loser and come up behind him. I just, if he's going to turn around, then all right, let's go. But he never turned around, so I didn't want to. I'll say loser. I didn't want to be a loser. There's another word I want to use, but I won't. But I didn't want to be a loser and come up behind him. That wouldn't have been right. If he was facing me, then all right. Yeah, I mean,
you know me. I'm far from a supporter of Bryce Harper.
Right.
Never will like the guy. I think he's an ass most of the time. He's not wrong though.
No.
That was clearly a purpose pitch. Castellanos was rightfully fired up and pissed off about it, and he got hit again tonight.
Castellanos, he runs hot as it is anyway. So you're hitting the wrong guy to begin with, and then you're hitting a guy who's a huge locker room, clubhouse leader on that team, is out there at second base. That's not that there's a right time to throw that pitch, but you're definitely doing it the wrong time with those two guys on the field. And Bryce's comments were 100% accurate, without question. Like it was intentional. And the fact that the Rays pitcher didn't have the stones to look at Harper, or really even look at Castellanos that much, he knows he's a loser, for lack of a better word there. Yeah, but again, it just and I think he did get a 3-game suspension, I saw
Yeah.
for that, which is good. You know, at least baseball in the reactionary phase to it, it is doing the right thing there. But yeah, they definitely need to step up and do more in the moment.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, honestly, if you hit a guy above the shoulders, it should be at least an automatic 2-game suspension.
Yeah. Make it count.
Yeah. All right. And speaking of the Stormers, they did magic numbers down to 1.
Very nice. Very
Yeah.
nice. Yeah, playoff baseball looks like it's a little shocked. The first half of the season was not great, but obviously in that league, you can have a bad half and a good half, and then you have a shot. So yeah, it looks like there's going to be playoff baseball in the Red Rose City again this year.
I love it. Just get in. If you can
That's
get
right.
in, you have a chance.
That's right. They've been the poster child for that.
I never used to be a fan of leagues that did like first half winner, second half winner, and then I watched Lancaster take advantage. I'm like, yeah, you know what? I'm all in on this now.
Yeah, I mean, look, like there's things in minor leagues that I would, especially in baseball, that you have so many different leagues that I wouldn't like on like the major league level. But with that, it's I think it also helps because look, if you have a team, the first half of the year, the Stormers were bad. They were just bad. Like for whatever reason, they just seem to never get it going. It's going to be a hard sell to get people to come out, especially in a summer like this when felt like it was 100 for about 2 months. You're going to have a hard sell getting people to come out and sit outside at a baseball game for a bad team. But when you go, hey, it's what, late June, early July, we just hit the reset button. Let's try it again. And, and here we are. We're magic number is 1. Probably going to, it would take a collapse at this point to not make the playoffs. I was there last week. They won like 12-5 or something. And, so it seems like they're hitting stride at the right time. And especially if you are that team that is hot in the second half, you can ride that because the playoffs are short. Mm-hmm. You can ride that momentum right through to a championship. But again, like the Stormers have done.
Yeah, I just hate that's York they have to go through because York's had their number all year.
Yeah. Well, better time than any, right?
True. And let's remember too, the minor leagues have a lot more roster turnover than the major leagues do. So it's good to do the reset and restart. And the bad teams are going to stay bad. The good teams are still going to be good, but it gives everybody a fighting chance. It's
right. Exactly.
It's like the one year that in fantasy baseball, in our 4-player family league, we did points instead of head to head. And Dad, based on amazing drafting and hot starts, had an insurmountable lead by the middle of May, and nobody bothered to do anything with fantasy for the rest of the year because what was the point?
Right.
So, speaking of fantasy, the Dollar Dogs and Beer Fantasy League is done. The regular season finished this past Sunday. I squeaked through with a 4. Those are the old results. Hold on, I didn't put the new ones up, dummy. So the top 4 teams did stay the same. We did not have any changes going in. I was a little surprised because it looked like for a while we might have a little bit of shakeup at the end of the year, but we didn't. So I managed to why is that not the right one? Come on, go back to the right league. Thank you. So Ron did beat me down 15-11, but it didn't matter because Jason ripped Joe apart 21-4, and Joe was the only one who had a chance to catch me anyway. And Todd beat Tim 15-11. So the playoffs are now set. Joe and Ron's teams are now locked, so they can't screw with the playoffs because you just have to do that. Sad that you have to, but you do. Semifinal matchups are me and Jason in the 1 versus 4. He is up 16-10 currently, and Todd and Tim in the 2-3, and Todd is up 14-10 in that one right now. So playoffs are going on, and hey, hopefully I get a little lucky because that's all it takes. Just get in, and anything can happen.
Darn right, man.
So we found out last year when Ron, with a historically awful record last year, won the league because we only had 4 last year and everybody made it. Still can't freaking believe that. All right, end of season awards. They'll be coming up soon. Here are the current odds. These are per DraftKings. Sunday evening around 9:00 is when these were. When I got the last updates, I'm sure they've changed a little since. NL MVP, pretty heavy favorite right now is Ohtani at negative 1,600, Lindor's at plus 500, Ozuna at plus 7,500, Harper at plus 8,000. I'm sorry, Ozuna's at plus 7,500, Ellie De La Cruz plus 10,000, Ketel Marte at plus 10,000. Seems like it's Ohtani's to lose. I hate to see it with a DH because a DH doesn't do anything else, but I'm also biased there because I also think Ozuna should be higher up in consideration than that because he is the only consistent Atlanta bat this year, and he's also DH. So I can't really hold that argument as well as I normally can. But I hate to say it, Ohtani is having a historic season, and even though
he'd have to his bat would have to go ice cold pretty much at this point to not get it, I think.
And even though, as Jason always points out every year when we're talking about this, MVP is the most valuable player for their team. Ohtani helped to carry that team when Mookie Betts went down, and it looked like LA's offense was lost. So as much as Lindor is making an absolutely insane push at it, I don't think Lindor is going to catch him. I don't think Ozuna or anybody else really has much of a chance to catch him. I think it's probably safe to say it's Ohtani's to lose at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
AL MVP, Judges in the lead at negative 3,000. Bobby Witt Jr.'s at plus 1,100. Juan Soto at plus 5,000. Gunners at plus 5,000. And Jose Ramirez at plus 10,000. Jim, the wild thing about the AL MVP race this year is that you're going to have a 10 WAR guy not get MVP because they will be beaten out by another 10 plus WAR guy.
Right. Yeah,
That's
it's insane. Like I obviously Gunners had a heck of a year. I'd like to see Santander in that discussion as well. That guy's bat has been unreal. He's really been a huge leader for the Orioles, and with everything that has happened to that roster this year, for the consistency that he's had. But the thing I will always say about individual awards, because over time I've had across sports, I've had players win MVP awards and scoring awards and this and that, and they're all well and good. And obviously it's great to have great players, but I would much rather have a team win a championship than players win individual awards.
Absolutely. 100%. I really, though, Bobby Witt, the season he is having right now is just, it's mind blowing. He's hitting .334, which leads, I think, all of baseball. At the very least, it leads the American League. It's so hard when you have a guy hitting that well. He's got 30 home runs, 11 triples, 41 doubles, an OBP of 386, a slug of 597. And that's not going to win it because of the season Aaron Judge is having.
Yeah, I mean, Judge,
home runs and 320.
My God, it's almost unfair. Orioles did take the lead, though, going in the top of the 10th. So they can get 3 outs. They get a big win here tonight. Royals and Yankees are in the 10th as well. So still 2-2 there in New York.
Then we'll roll it into the Cy Young races. Right now, the NL, Chris Sale of Atlanta is leading it. And the best part about this is Boston's still paying most of his salary this year.
Hate to see it.
Man, what a trade. What a trade, because Vaughn Grissom has done nothing for the Red Sox. What a great one-on-one trade. Sales at negative 2,000, Wheeler's at plus 1,000, Webb, Cease, and Skeens are all at plus 10,000. None of them should be in serious consideration other than Wheeler.
No, it's Sale and Wheeler. Let's see how the two can finish off the year. Each have obviously are going to have a couple of starts left here. Wheeler had another good outing here tonight. So, yeah, we'll see. It's definitely Sales to lose, though.
Yeah. Right now, Jim, Sale is holding the NL Triple Crown. 238 ERA, 213 strikeouts, and 16 wins. It's been, I think, since Clayton Kershaw in the early 2010s since the NL has had a Triple Crown winner for pitching.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I feel like if he holds on to the Triple Crown, I don't think he's going to lose.
No, and shouldn't.
Yeah. On the AL side, leading is Tariq Skubal at negative 5,000. Emmanuel Clase, the reliever, is actually second in the odds right now at plus 2,500. Cole Reagan's at plus 4,000. Corbin Burns at plus 5,000. Seth Lugo at 7,500. Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, Framber Valdez all at plus 10,000. I would be shocked if Tariq Skubal doesn't hold on. I won't be surprised if Burns and Reagans get ahead of Class A too. I'm sorry, relievers. If you don't blow me out of the water, you shouldn't be in the Cy Young consideration.
Yeah, look, obviously, if you're an exceptional reliever, staring in Mariano Rivera, then I really don't like relievers being in that spot. Not that they're not important. Hell, the Orioles have had a 365 plus day struggle trying to replace Bautista.
Yeah.
And
here's the thing: there's already an award for best reliever.
Very true. Yeah, very true.
And I don't want to take anything away from the season he's having. He has a .68 ERA, a 4-2 record, and 43 saves.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's a great year, but like you said, Cy Young, unless you are doing something otherworldly, you shouldn't be in that conversation.
Yeah. Skubal is leading the AL in ERA. He is tied for the league in wins at 16, and he is comfortably ahead in I'm sorry. Reagans is right behind him in strikeouts. Skubal did get to his 200th strikeout this past week in his last outing. He's at 208. Reagan's right behind him at 204. So the Triple Crown is not locked up in the American League right now, although Skubal is definitely in strong position to take it. So we'll have to see how that goes. The NL Rookie of the Year, Merrill's at negative 750. Skeens is at plus 400. Churio's at plus 1,100. This one makes me mad. Imananga's at plus 15,000. Imananga's pitched the whole damn year. He was just part of a team no-hitter. He's pitched insane in his first season with the Chicago Cubs. One of the best offseason signings any team made. Like, the Cubbies were so smart, letting everybody just letting everybody suss out the guys coming from overseas and then just swoop in and grab him. 27 starts, 17 of which were quality starts. He's got a 3.03 ERA to go with a 13-3 record, 160 in the third innings, and 159 strikeouts, 25 walks. He's been prone to the long ball, and that's what's hurt him. 26 home runs allowed. But despite that, that's a hell of a year. And Paul Skeens has not been as good since his hot start. Not bad by any means, but that blistering hot start predictably did not continue. I mean, he's only made 20 starts this year, 10-2, 2.10 ERA, 120 innings, 151 strikeouts. It's all that's all good. 10 home runs allowed, 31 walks. Not to take anything away from Skeens, he's managed to rack up 5.2 WAR in a very quick period of time. But the fact that Imananga is getting as ignored as he is drives me nuts.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. I mean, you want to keep Merrill in the number one spot, sure, but certainly he should be second, third in the discussion because he's had a heck of a year.
Yeah. American League rookie Colton Cowser's in the lead, negative 250. Austin Wells is right behind him at plus 180. Willie Abreu at plus 2,200. Louis Skillet's plus 6,000. Wyatt Langford, who was my preseason favorite for AL Rookie of the Year, is at plus 10,000. So I'm not going to get that one. But then again, trying to predict Rookie of the Year is a crap shot in the best year anyway. So it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like it's going to come down to Wells and Cowser again. This is probably the tightest of the races that we've talked about here. And over these last couple of weeks is going to determine it. But yeah, I mean, a lot of good young talent in both the American League and the National League this year.
Yeah. So of all of those, Jim, I'm we're thinking the AL rookie's the only one that's really still up for grabs. The rest of them are probably going to stay the favorites.
Yeah, most likely. I mean, especially with Skeens, he's had a heck of a year, obviously, but only going to have a couple of outings here the rest of the way. So it's going to be hard for him to make that move. And the rest of the Cy Youngs, the MVPs, it's pretty much locked up.
Yeah, agreed. All right. For Down on the Farm this week, Jason decided not to send me anything, so I'm gonna we're gonna look at the PCL, the Pacific Coast League. The hot hitter I'm gonna pick for this week. This is a good one. Willie Calhoun. Willie Calhoun is a first baseman for the Salt Lake Bees. They are the AAA affiliate of the Anaheim Angels, and his line over the past week. There it is. Sorry, I lost it. 6 games played, 23 at bats. He scored 4 runs, 8 hits, 2 homers, 6 RBIs, 4 walks to 2 strikeouts. That's a 348, 444, 609 line. Damn.
Jeez.
Don't get in his way. And let's look at the pitchers here. Let's pull up a fun one here. Oh, why do they have no results for the? Oh, because I'm still under hitting. That's why. Yeah. Come on, Andrew. You know that. I will say this one frustration Jason has had all year with doing Down on the Farm is that Milb has been very slow to update the stats this year for no really good particular reason. All right, let's go.
Orioles did just lose. They gave up a 3-run walk-off.
It's disappointing. Sorry to hear that, man.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Now I'm just hoping that the Royals can win this game here in New York tonight. So the Yankees, they did take the lead. The Royals did. So hopefully they can hold on and hold off the Yankees. So at least the Yankees won't gain any ground. It's just kind of that's been the reality for the last 6-8 weeks in this race. Is it's just I think I saw some the other day for the last 92 days or something. The Orioles and Yankees have been within 2 games of each other.
That's the kind of race that says I can't go to the doctor for my yearly physical until this is over because my blood pressure is not in a good place.
Yeah, look, and look, I'm not calling anybody out personally because I know tons of Phillies fans, but while I understand your team has had struggles of late, I don't want to freaking hear about it because you guys haven't lost. I think the closest the Phillies got to losing their division lead was 5 games throughout that whole stretch. I would do bad things to have a 5-game lead in the American League East right now. So a little perspective would go a long way for some Phillies fans.
Amen to that. So the pitcher this week is AJ Bluebaugh, who has the great number 69. He is a pitcher for the Sugarland Space Cowboys, which, what a name. First of all, I've always loved the names of minor league baseball, but the Sugarland Space Cowboys, that takes the cake.
That's the former Skeeters, right?
Yes, I believe they used to be the Skeeters, pretty sure. This past week, he only had 1 start. He went 1-0, but he made all of it. 6 innings, 1.5 ERA, 4 hits, 1 run, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts. That is a .83 whip and a .190 average against. Not bad.
Yeah, not bad at all.
All right, so 3 milestones for the week. For the 3 pitchers that passed 200 strikeouts in the season, Chris Sale, Cole Reagans, and Tariq Skubal. So those are the milestones for this week. Next week or in the next 2 weeks, we might be saying Shohei Ohtani 50-50, which is just insane to think about.
That's nuts.
All right, then last Wednesday, exactly a week ago, third baseman Matt Chapman and the San Francisco Giants agreed to a 6-year, $151 million extension to keep him from opting out of the current deal to reach free agency. That deal will start next year, replaces the last 2 years of that 3-year, $54 million contract he signed earlier this year. No deferred money and a full no-trade clause will expire in 2030 when he will be 37 years old. Wow. What a deal to be able to get that at 31.
Heck yeah, man. Usually you see those 5, 6 and longer deals when you're in your mid to late 20s. So kudos to him, and kudos to the Giants for recognizing, especially, I mean, obviously you have the long throw from third, and it's got, you know, that hot corner there, but you know, as long as you take care of your body and you do things the right way, there's no reason that you can't, you know, you can't play the position you know, well into your late 30s.
Chipper Jones did it, and he
Yeah.
was hurt a decent amount, but he was still able to hit the damn ball.
I mean, Ripton did it as well once he was back
Yeah.
over there at third.
I mean, I remember Chipper's age 37 season when he was holding 400 into May and ended up with like a 370 something to lead the league in average, which is insane.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that they got the extension done during the season that didn't drag into the off season?
Yeah, you know, you don't see these sort of deals a lot of times go down in season, and you know, even in across sports, it's kind of rare to you know, see these sort of deals get negotiated. So that's another thing too, I guess. If you recognize you don't want to get into the postseason and everything, obviously the Giants are not going to be playing in the postseason, but going into the off season with question marks, and you know, and things can get dirty, and guys can start filing arbitration, and you know, you kind of get into this world that you don't necessarily want to. And yeah, kudos to them for getting it done. It's especially, like you said, maybe part of it is because they recognize, look, we're not going to have playoffs to contend for us, so let's start solidifying the house here at home.
And I like the deal. The money is a little bit high, perhaps, but you know what? He's been their best hitter by far. He's been one of the best third basemen in the league, both hitting and playing defense. He's a very legitimate shot at Gold Glove this year. And, you know, even if the bat starts to decline over the years, the glove will probably be fine. That doesn't usually go away at the hot corner. No. Second short, yeah, you know, because those guys take much more of a beating out there. But third baseman, I mean, they stay solid late.
Yeah, and I mean, let's be fair too, especially right now, and by all accounts, doesn't seem like baseball is going to move towards a roster minimum salary cap model anytime soon. So if the organization and ownership has the money and is willing to you know, to sign these deals, then go for it. You know, it's one of those things. It's like, look, if you know, a lot of these, most if not all of these owners have the money and the ability to do it, it's whether or not they're going to do it. And so which again is you know, I know you guys talked about it, I think last week, you know, that baseball, as much as they need a salary cap, they need that minimum even more so, because I mean, thank God the Orioles aren't in that anymore, but they were in ownership hell for so very long. And there's other teams that are going through it. So yeah, if you have an ownership group that wants to spend money on their players and make sure that they stay in that city and on that team, then go for it.
Yeah. So I mean, let's remember, as you pointed out, the position of the podcast has been pretty solid from just about all of us. That a spending floor is more important than a spending cap at this point to stop teams like the Marlins, the Athletics from grabbing a couple moderately priced guys and then dumping them as quickly as they can when they fail to pan out. And I mean, you look at what the payroll is right now for the Marlins on their active roster for the non-injured guys. It's pretty ugly. Their highest paid active guy right now is getting paid $2.1 million. Jesus Sanchez.
Yeah,
that's a problem. So that's it for the baseball. I had two I wanted to toss up at you before we signed off tonight. First of all, for people that don't know you, you're a huge hockey fan. Love our Hershey Bears. What do you think of the new uniforms?
Dude, I absolutely love them, and I have to laugh because me and my wife, we always disagree on uniforms, and like if I'm looking at like Fanatics or whatever, if I'm like, oh, this shirt looks cool, she thinks it's ugly. If she is like, oh, I like this shirt, and I look at him like, I wouldn't wear that if you paid me. So of course I see the new uniforms get unveiled, and I'm like, I love them. I send them to her, and she gives me like the thumbs down reaction. So I had to laugh right away, because when I think of the Hershey Bears, my mind immediately goes to like the late 80s uniforms and like the early to mid 90s.
Mhm.
These are very reminiscent of it, obviously, with the new colors and everything. I love the simple sleeve and body striping. You got the different color shoulder yoke and the logo. What, you don't need anything else.
Yeah.
You don't need anything else for a classic historic team. You need nothing else. To me, they are about as perfect as could be. I'm happy to see the Capitals patch back on the shoulder. They haven't had that in the 11 years since they changed the colors to the actual brown instead of the maroon. So I'm welcome to see that back. The only thing that caught me off guard with the pictures is the socks didn't match the striping on the jerseys. Now, I also could tell that the jerseys themselves were a different fabric style than the actual game jersey. So what I'm thinking is these were like a template that they got in to do all the photo shoots and video work and all of that. And my hope is that the socks will match once we get to the games here in less than a month, or in about a month, which is insane. But no, I absolutely love them. If I could have designed the jerseys, what I would have come up with would be real close to what they actually look like.
Yeah. One thing that's always impressed me with Hershey too, brown is a very hard color to use on a uniform because it really doesn't play well with a lot of other colors. And Hershey has always done such a good job of blending the darker browns with the creams and the vanillas, and they make it work. And it's always just been such a classic look for the most historic franchise the AHL has ever had, which is also always stayed up in Chocolatetown, Hershey, PA, thankfully.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, I know for a fact, and I bought one of the white jerseys the last year's during the playoff run. I got literally the last one they had in stock.
Nice.
Which turned out to be very smart on my part, considering they changed them. But now I'm already figuring out what body parts I have to sell to get a new one this year. But yeah, it's going to be money well spent. I will go with the only thing I hate about the AHL is they do the half season white, half season dark for the home jersey. So I will do the as long as it doesn't change format, I will do the second half brown as my first of the purchases.
There you go. Yeah, when they dropped the video, dropped the stills, I was like, yes.
Yeah, I was ecstatic because here's the thing. I didn't mind the like sleeve and body, like the horizontal striping of the last. The things that bothered me, it was a Reebok Edge template thing that some teams did. I know the Sabres did
back
in the day, and it was the weird like chest, like side chest stripe, and then the armpits of the jerseys were different colors. So on like the white jerseys, the armpits were brown and vice versa. And I was just like, why is this a thing? I could never unsee it, and it drove me insane. So it's just these are just simpler, and to me, and it's really kind of a thing that teams in the AHL, the NHL, a lot of teams are kind of doing now. You see, the Minnesota Wild are going back to their the old Minnesota North Stars. The Oilers have gone back to their like 1970s, 1980s era. Teams are kind of reverting back to a more classic look. And I'm liking it too. I think I did see a tease. The Providence Bruins are going to have a third jersey this year that's reminiscent of the Boston Bruins, the yellow with the big bear head from the 90s. So that's going to be cool. So yeah, I like teams doing some simple and kind of classic looks, and I'm very pleased with Hershey on this one.
Yeah. Speaking of teams that need to maybe update their look, the Colorado Avalanche are long overdue for.
Yeah, they've lived in that style
oh.
really forever.
You know me, I love my abs, man, but I cringe every time I see that team on the ice, and I just wish they'd wear the Nordique throwbacks because they look better.
I kind of like to see the Capitals do something. They've the jersey style that they have now is only the third different uniform style they've had in 50 years. So it really worked well when they went back to red, white, and blue. But that was 15, 16 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd like to see them now. I've heard rumors that with this being the 50th year, they are going to wear the black Screaming Eagle as an alternate this year. So that should be cool. But I'd like to see them do something with the it's the logo that's on the Hershey Bears shoulder, the Weagle, the W Eagle logo. I'd like to see that be the main logo for a Caps jersey.
Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. And speaking of other teams with classic jersey looks, what the hell happened to Notre Dame on Saturday, dude? That was painful.
Pain, man. just absolute pain. And it's funny because I've talked to a lot of people about it, as shocking as that may be. But there's the saddest part about it is there's a part of me that isn't even totally surprised that it happened, because that has just been my life as a Notre Dame fan. Like you can only be happy for so long before you get hit by the bullet train. Now, obviously, with the playoff format, they are very much still alive.
Yeah, without a doubt.
If you can figure out a way to win out, you're going to be in. I have my doubts that they can do that, but schedule is on the easier side this year, so all hope is not lost. But man, I was down with a buddy of mine in down the Delaware Shore this weekend, and I was following along with the game, and it's like, all right, it's close, it's just sloppy play, there's a lot of that this weekend. Penn State had a scare, other teams had scares. It's just like, find a way.
Dude.
It doesn't matter how. Find a way to win. And then we got back to to where we were staying, and I'm watching it, and I'm just like, I'm just watching this last drive for Northern Illinois, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, this is actually going to happen. And kudos to their coaching staff. They took I don't know if there was bulletin board material somewhere or something, but they came in with the mindset to upset, and Notre Dame came in without the mindset to win. And, and here's the thing. I saw something today. Notre Dame fans are reacting really negatively towards it. Marcus Freeman's been in communication with Northern Illinois' coach this week and kind of asking him, like, what were you seeing from us that you were able to capitalize on? And Notre Dame fans are like, this is embarrassing. You're reaching out to a MAC coach. I'm like, what's embarrassing about it? They just won.
Yeah.
Like, if he's not, I'm more embarrassed if he's not reaching out.
Yeah.
And looking for answers, because you've played 2 games with this current team, and you're reaching out to the coach that beat you. I don't care who it was that beat you. Secondly, this guy has been coaching in Northern Illinois for 6 years, and they've been. I understand it's the MAC. Look, I'm not justifying a loss to a MAC team, but
they're a better MAC team.
Right. They've been competitive the whole time he's been there. And you can tell, man, his players love him, and he loves his players. So if it's a learning experience, learn from it.
Yeah.
I'd be more embarrassed if Marcus Freeman was just like, we just didn't care about playing him. Because that you're just going to end up losing to Purdue this week.
Yeah.
So, I'm much happier that he's at least going, look, something went wrong. We're going to figure out what it is, and we'll go from there.
As you know, I marched Blue Band way back when.
Yeah.
And I'm still a proud member of I'm a member of a Big Ten marching band group, which has grown exponentially this year with all these damn Pac-12 schools joining.
I believe it.
And I kind of feel bad for some of the new Pac-12 kids who don't understand some of the classic memes that run every year, like the Purdue Bandos with Boiler Pete just with his scythe ready to kill another ranked opponent, because every year you can count on Purdue to screw one ranked opponent over. It's guaranteed. And they're all like,
we're going into Purdue this week, and I am definitely nervous. It is not going to be easy. I think every team playing Notre Dame right now is probably sensing blood in the water. So they're going to have to be great over the next month.
And if it was Notre Dame losing to like Stanford, USC, one of their classic rivals, even Michigan, you don't reach out to the other coach, because the other coach is going to laugh at you and slap you in the face if you ask for it. But there is absolutely no shame in reaching out to another coach that straight up manned you up and beat you down to say, were we doing something? Did you see something? There's never anything.
Absolutely not. And if you are the head coach at Northern Illinois and you're getting a call from, the head coach of the University of Notre Dame, and he's, and he's looking for, reasons, things he saw like that, that's a testament to you as a head coach that you were able to do that. So, yeah.
All right. And I just got a text from Jason. The Ducks did lose tonight, so the Stormers magic number is at 1.
There we
Next
go.
Stormers win or Ducks lose, and the Stormers are back in the playoffs again. So
Very good.
It's been a good night. So Jim, hey, thanks for coming on, man. I love having you on. I meant to bring you on in the middle of the season. This summer has been chaos.
Oh, it's been pure chaos for me over here. But with playoffs around the corner, I'll be a phone call away, I'm sure.
Absolutely. All right. So everybody, audio recordings are available on Spotify. You can watch the video again on Facebook. Actually, the video is up on Spotify too. I always forget about that. Anywhere you can find podcasts, though, we're up there. Merchandise is at redbubble.com. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/$dogsandbeer. We are all still active on Twitter. Podcast pages at DDAB _podcast. I'm at PyroLord314. Jason's at JRicker300. Joe's at Jolton Joe 35. Ron's at Dipner Ron. Jim, you want to toss yours out?
Sure. Yeah, you can get me at Big Jim Sports. I have the link tree there. It connects you to all my different podcast projects. So just head over there, hit the link tree, and that's where you can find me.
Sweet. Yeah, I have my link tree. I just always forget to mention it because I haven't had it that long. So we're presented by Dark Arrow Podcasts and sponsored by Barron Barbershop in Mannheim. Johnny, I'll be up at your house tomorrow. I hope it's going to be a great game tomorrow up in Yankee Stadium. Everybody, may your dogs always cost $1. May that your beer always be cold. We will see you next week, Monday night, if Jason can remember to get back from vacation in time.